Another day in Lofoten and another mountain. I'm not feeling quite so good about this one because I didn't sleep really at all last night, maybe a few hours. My cold has come back with a vengeance after going up that mountain yesterday, so I'm not feeling wonderful at the moment. But the conditions are perfect again, so this mountain's I think 700 meters, so we walk along a ridge and go up and down a bit. So I think it's 800 and something meters in total of ascent. But same plan as yesterday really, so to stay on the mountain for sunset and then for blue hour and then come back in the dark. At least that's the goal. So if it's anything like as good as yesterday, then we're in for a great day. We've gained the main ridge now. It was pretty icy coming up, so we're gonna have to wear our crampons on the way down, which is a bit annoying because it's actually just on rock, so that's always uncomfortable walking. But that's the main steep section done, so we're at about 420 meters now, and then we just have gradual climbing to do and a bit of descent to reach the main summit. But as you can see, the views along this ridge walk are going to be pretty incredible. If I just flip you around quickly, then you can see it really is quite good, looking down over this fjord into the mountains behind. So this is the ridge here on the right that we're heading up, and that peak at the back in the sun's direction, the highest one there, that's where we're eventually going to head. So it looks like pretty easy walking from here, although I think there's a steep slope to negotiate. But we have loads of time still, so we can enjoy views like this. Just past this rather nice scene, which isn't going to win any awards, but it's certainly pretty interesting. Some lovely snow formations here, so it's worth a shot. I'm probably going to shoot it exactly as I'm showing you here. I quite like that diagonal running out of the bottom corner and the sense of perspective that creates with the lines on the opposite side leading into the mountains. So I'm pretty much going to shoot it exactly as you see. Ash and I are kind of bottling it at the moment because this peak just here looks pretty crazy from where we are. It looks like an almost vertical climb and we can't exactly see what's going on behind it, so it's certainly time to put on crampons and take our time going up that first slope, because I think it's going to be tricky even getting up there. But hopefully the ridge continues. The map suggests it does, but from where we're standing it looks like this first pinnacle just drops off and then there's just a wall of rock and snow, so hopefully when we get up there it won't be as bad as it looks from here. It wasn't before, it's certainly Ice Axe time now. This ridge does look doable, but we're behind time now. This is more technical than I expected, to be perfectly honest. I expected it to be fairly straightforward and it's not. It's very difficult, quite icy, so you have to be really careful with your crampon placement, as reliable as they are. But we're going to carry on and try and get to the top of that pinnacle in the middle of the shot there. There's a couple of ways we could do it. There's kind of a gully that runs down diagonally, or we could possibly try going over the top, but we'll probably try the top route first and see how we go. This is certainly more technical than Harshen's done before, so he's understandably wanting to take it easy here. Nervous? Well, just take your time. And if ultimately you don't feel that you can go on, we can turn around. Unfortunately, today is the day that I bit off more than I can chew. I've never had to turn around on a route before, but now pragmatism has to get in the way of the glory shot from the top of the mountain, because this route that's behind me, up over here, that is too technical. I mean, especially for Harshen, who has done relatively little walking like this, but also for me. I'd really want 2 climbing axes to get up there. There's big boulders covered in snow. I have had a little wander up there, and it's just it's more risk than I'm willing to take on for a photograph at the end of the day. So it's pretty disappointing, but also I know we can get down safely from where we are. And actually the view off in this direction, these mountains are still pretty impressive. So it's not like we won't have anything to shoot. So we're going to chill out for a bit, have a bite to eat, and then take some photographs. Right, so time for a quick tour, starting with this view looking towards some really prominent layered peaks here. I think this is by far the strongest scene from this vantage point that we have. So much of the mountain range is blocked out by the mountain, in which we unfortunately have not made it up. But nevertheless, I think there's potential here for a really, really beautiful shot come sunset, and that won't be a bad trophy to take home for the day's work. But if we look elsewhere, well, this peak is losing some of the snow. I'm not particularly attracted to photographing that. And as we look out towards the coast, well, these peaks just look quite distant. So maybe I'll try shooting something, a long lens image of these islands. But really, that's abstract stuff. And the same goes for some of these mountains at the back. There might be some nice telephoto shots to take. But at the moment, I'm looking for those wide angle images. This is base camp. There's all our stuff. Harshen's getting his drone ready. Alright, and then if we look out in the sunset direction, the sun's going to be coming down somewhere here. And my voice is breaking because this cold is really awful. This diagonal slope is slightly blocking the view, so potentially I could walk along here a bit further just to move that slope on the left out of the way a bit and shoot a panorama just as the sun sets, which I may well do. And then we have the mountain, so that's more or less it. We've really got this view here, which might make a nice panorama. But the one I'm really going to focus on is over here. I'm shooting a portrait scene of this view using the snow as a foreground with these lovely sastrugi formations. There's my camera. One thing that I'm paying attention to is the height of the camera, because I want to reveal this saddle that frames the mountains there. So if I get too low, then that starts to break up. So I need to keep a reasonable degree of height. The other thing that's slightly awkward about this shot is that I have to do a focus bracket because I'm shooting at 70mm, so that's actually quite a serious focus bracket, because the depth of field at 70-80mm is relatively shallow compared to shooting at wider angles. I think there's also the potential for a 35mm kind of shot, so if I zoom out here you can see a more complete range of mountains. I don't want to include this mountain on the left because it doesn't really fit in with the idea of the rest of the mountains. So this is my mountain view, and you can see somewhere around here maybe there's a panorama frame that works quite well, so I might try that as well. really close to sunset right now, and as the sun approaches the horizon, I've just switched to shooting landscape. And the reason that I'm doing that is, as opposed to earlier, where the sunlight was breaking up these hills behind, if I take a higher position here, then the whole midground is filled with shadow, and you get this disconnection between the mountains here at the top and the snow in the foreground, which, you know, are two separate elements that your eye is going to be drawn to. So by moving a bit lower and closing down on the amount of shadow, then the composition is much stronger, in my opinion. So I think that this is going to work really nicely. Sun is just coming down behind me, but actually I'm not going to take any shots in that direction because compositionally it's just not that interesting. Whereas looking in the opposite direction, it looks fantastic. So it's really important in situations like this where you might have multiple options to really focus on the best one if you can identify it. I'm not too worried about not having an image of that sunset behind me. I mean, it's perfectly nice, but this scene in front of me is now perfect. I'm shooting a final image of this mountain in the distance, and as you can probably hear from my voice, the cold has got to me somewhat, as has my cold. Double cold jeopardy. But I am shooting this with a telephoto lens, so I'm getting really low down. I'm shooting really tight at 200mm and at f4. So that I can really throw the foreground out of focus, so that I'm getting this silky look to the background there. So that is a great shot to finish on, and what a beautiful scene. I mean, of course we didn't get to the summit, which is all the way up there, and I was very disappointed, but hey, I mean, we're in Norway in winter on a mountain on a beautiful day, so you know, this is what it's like when it all goes wrong. I've not done too badly. The belt of Venus is fading behind us now. Oh, I'm really struggling with this cold. And we're going to head down because the light's going to be just okay for a while now. And hopefully we can get somewhere to shoot when the light gets really blue again. But we also have to be very careful. It's more dangerous going down, and these are quite steep slopes. So if we don't get to shoot, then that's okay, because we've got some pretty epic stuff. So I'm actually really happy with how today has turned out. Of course, the icing on the cake would be to get another shot, but I think safety first in this particular instance. That was the end of our second and final hike in Norway on 2 consecutive days of fabulous weather. I did take a final blue hour image, which you'll see in a second, but I stopped videoing shortly after when my cold came back with a vengeance, and I actually completely ran out of energy and ended up stumbling down the mountain, so perhaps it was best that we didn't actually make that summit. Nevertheless, there were 2 very productive days photographically, so in my next video I'll do a quick review and critique of those images.